All right, everybody, welcome. I'm here with Marshall, also known as Gentle Giant Ace, one of my absolute favorite creators, by the way. If you aren't following Marshall, please do. I'm going to put all the contact information in the description of the video, so you can follow Marshall on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. Go head over there right after this. But today we are here to talk about ACE Week, about advocacy, and about what you can do to get involved with advocacy for ACE Week and try and get some states to recognize ACE Week. Marshall and I have both successfully in the past gotten ACE Week recognized for our states. Of course, mine are behind me for the state of Wisconsin. Marshall, Pennsylvania, right?
Yep, Pennsylvania. Well, this is last year's.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Marshall John Blount, and I am an asexual activist out of Erie, PA. I do some work on asexual outreach, and I'm also just an independent activist. So I speak a lot on like YouTube and TikTok and Twitter. If I just said Twitter already.
I think I said Twitter, but yeah.
Oh, great.
So we're covering all bases. I didn't know that you were on TikTok, so I'm going to follow you immediately after.
Yeah, this. I'm a Gentle Giant Ace on TikTok. So
excellent.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is our backgrounds in advocacy and how we kind of each got started in what we do. For me, I started on Twitter. It's actually where I found you the first time.
Likewise.
Yep. And I think that was about 3 years ago now. I know I started talking very slowly in 2020. I remember it was right at the end of Pride Month that there was a lot of, asexuality doesn't belong in Pride. And it was literally the last day of Pride Month that all this was coming up on my feed. So I took that as an opportunity to speak out for the first time. And I did a mini series, I remember, where for July, I think like 3rd through the 10th, I did 7 days of talking about different stages in my journey to that point. And it kind of flew under the radar a lot, but I felt like I was doing something that, for the few people that probably did see it, probably helped a little bit. And then I found people like you, people like Ace Dad, L Rose, Justin, Tiger Songbird, some of these amazing activists, Yasmin Benoit, another great one. So Twitter was kind of my home base at first. Eventually, I made a transition about a year ago to TikTok, partially because of the ownership change on the previous mentioned app. And then I started making videos, and I really enjoy doing that. And another thing that I do that obviously we're going to be talking about today is I got involved with ACE Week and getting that recognized for my state. Again, partially inspired by you, by what you had already been doing. So,
like, it's like one of those. It's one of the process that got me started was basically my experiences with a lot of acephobia and a lot of queer spaces and non-queer spaces, where basically a lot of comments, a lot of experiences that I experienced even in my local community that were very like either not understanding of asexuality or just blatantly just like ruthless against asexuality.
Yeah.
And basically that pushed me to finding like people like the asexual goddess, Yasmin Benoit.
Yes.
Like they were like to immediately jump in to find someone that was like that looks like you, and also like to speak out against acephobia was one of the main things that propelled me into getting into asexual activism. Especially like you said, it's almost like a tradition. Like every Ace Week or every Pride Month, at the end of till end, there's always a wave.
Yes.
Of like acephobia, and it's just like very, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I think Ace Week is so important, and the advocacy that a lot of the people that we've mentioned have done. Thank you for mentioning Asexual Goddess. That's another wonderful creator that I also follow and have for a number of years. And that's one of the reasons that we want to make this video today, is to help people understand the process a little bit of getting Ace Week recognized by your local government. We'll be talking more on the state level, but a lot of what we're going to say also could apply to the city level. And just getting that visibility out there and raising awareness is so crucial, especially coming from your local government, who we're in a country where our own president leaves the A out of the acronym.
Yep.
Consistently still, even though both our governors have recognized Ace Week.
Yes.
So
like, and there's millions of us that exist in this country too, which is the thing. Like, if not thousands, but it's just like, I just think that it's very important to acknowledge asexual people in the country, because we make up a significant amount of the voting bloc.
Yes. So a little bit about the background of Ace Week. Ace Week was initially established as Asexual Awareness Week. We still call it that as well. Ace Week was kind of the shorthand that has kind of taken on, but Asexual Awareness Week is what it was founded as back in 2010. Part of the reason, my understanding, that they shortened it to Ace Week was to build beyond just awareness. Like, people are aware of us now. Now let's build that understanding and advocacy. Is that kind of your impression as well, Marshall?
Definitely. It's definitely a building block to where we were, and it's not forgetting the origins of it. It's just building up on that legacy of the week. Usually when when movements get new names, a lot of people would say, "Oh, we're removing, like, we're kind of like snipping away at the past," but it's not necessarily doing that. It's just making sure that we move forward, and while we acknowledge everything that we've done since it starts.
Yes, I agree. And one reason I do like that they shortened it to Ace Week is because it doesn't narrow anything, it expands it.
Yes.
It goes into education, advocacy, celebration.
Yes.
There's a lot of really cool events that happen during Ace Week. One thing, I already know what I'm doing this year for Ace Week on my TikTok channel. I'm going to do the same thing I did during Arospec Week, Aromantic Spectrum Awareness Week, where every day I wrote a new poem about my identity. During that, I wrote a new poem and posted it day of about being aromantic. This year, I'm going to do that about being asexual. And I know you and I both did something special with a certain dessert this past year.
Yes, cake. It's a tradition every year that my mom even still plans it out. Like, even after she does the one that she does 1 year, she's thinking in her head about the next concept. Like, that's becoming a big tradition, to the point where I was featured. Me and her were featured in a Bon Appetit article. Because of the Ace couple were doing like an article, like a project where they were doing a thing about asexuality and cake, and the importance of cake in our community. And by that time, me and my mom have done like a plethora of cakes. So, and we post them online. So it was like an honor to have her featured on that, because it's kind of like my mom just feel like she doesn't really do a lot of activism, but as someone who is not just an ally but an accomplice, like basically I told her like doing that is important because it validates our space and our culture, and
Yeah.
it's very important that someone even outside of our community acknowledges that we exist.
Yeah. And I think it's so powerful for other people to see your mom participate in this with you.
Yes.
Um, it's it's one of those things that sticks in my mind as something I look forward to seeing, because I get excited. Marshall's cake, yes, Marshall and his mom are doing their cake, because, like I said, it is so powerful to see that connection, and that's something that has been a. Would you call it a bonding experience between the two of you?
Yeah, it's definitely it's also a way for her to learn more about asexual people and asexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she grew up in a time where, of course, there was limited information about this general like queer history.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have of course, the internet and our spaces on the internet, and also the articles that we have, the resources that we have,
Yeah.
um, she's able to learn more about asexuality, and also the fact that queerness is a spectrum. It's a vast thing. It's not just like one thing. So it's just nice that she gets to be in an era where she gets to learn more.
I love that. I love that so much. Um, so for those wondering, when is Ace Week? It is the last full week in October.
Yes.
Uh, this video is being posted in 2024. If you're watching it in the future, check your calendar for that last final week. But in 2024, it'll be October 20th through the 26th this year.
Yep.
Um, we just mentioned a bunch of things you can look forward to, but there's so much more. There's live streams. There's you might find book clubs. You might find so many amazing things and so many creators doing amazing things. It really is a celebration.
It really is. Like, it's definitely something that I think people, like, our government should acknowledge, especially now that we live in a time where it's very polarized, and a lot of people just see asexuality, oh, it's this new thing, when we've been around since the beginning of humanity too. And it's just now we have, because of the internet and because of the reach that we have, it's getting more acknowledgement. And I
Yeah.
think I think if our municipal and statewide governments recognize, it could be also recognized in a federal manner too. But again, because of polarization, it's a lot of roadblocks. But I think we'll get
Yeah.
somewhere. We'll get somewhere in the future. So don't lose hope.
Right. And you mentioned how long asexuality has been around. It's actually been mentioned as early back as 1897. I had to look up the exact year just now, but
Wow.
the name of the person that coined the phrase is Emma Tross. She was a German sexologist. I've done videos where I've talked about Emma Tross before, so I had to look up the year, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's a long time ago.
1897. That's
Yeah.
the night. Well, the nine before, not our 90s.
Yeah. Not our 90s. No,
That's,
that was 93 years before this guy was born. So it
yeah,
was
I was born
wild.
like it. I was born 1993, so it's
Mhm.
far back.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so like Marshall just said, it's been around. It's and not just the word, but it's always existed.
Yes.
And if predating Emma Tross coming up with the word itself, it's always been a part of human experience. And I think that's one of the reasons that I personally do this, is because while that word did finally exist by 1897, there's all those people before it that didn't have that word.
Yes.
And then there's all the people who still to this day don't have that right word. I was one of those people until I was 28. I didn't find that word properly until I was 28.
Same. I was 22, 23.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons that things like Asexual Awareness Week, ACE Week, are so important, is to get that visibility out there. I remember the first year that we got ACE Week recognized in Wisconsin in 2022. I went to a in-person gathering in near Madison. It was like 15 people, something like that. It wasn't big, but it was bigger than I was kind of anticipating even. And I had posted on my Twitter about having ACE Week recognized, and I think ACE Week themselves retweeted it, Avon retweeted it. It got passed around a bit. People there knew about it and didn't know that I had any part in it, that I was standing right there. But the power of that, I didn't have to tell them. They already knew.
Yes.
And that visibility was there, and they were talking about how much that meant to them. And that was truly one of the most gratifying experiences I've had in any of the work that I've done, is hearing people without even them knowing that I was standing there, that I had anything to do with it. Just how much it meant to them. Because that wasn't them thanking me or anything like that. That was just them being true to how they felt.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like when you do something as grand as that, it feels like it's something that it's like winning the lottery, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Where you actually see someone that actually is doing the work to make sure that the community gets some sort of visibility and awareness. It's one of the most empowering things.
Yeah, it really is. And it's something that I think it would be important for the LGBTQIA plus community at large to know more about as well. Because it is important that, you know, we be there for them, they be there for us. Mm. We can celebrate together and embrace everybody. Our challenges may be different, our experiences may look different, but we all kind of go through similar stages, and we deal with some similar discrimination. We deal with some similar obstacles that are in our path, and we'll get through them better together.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's one of those things where I think the more proclamations pop up, I think it's one of the things people will actually look into. And again, it shouldn't take proclamations for people to take it seriously, but I think for a lot of people, it's like one of those things where it's kind of like, oh, like that activist is not playing around, or it's kind of like, or I should look into this and be more respectful. Because I think there's a lot of people who, like when I came out as asexual, and when during that whole process, where there are a lot of people, even within the queer community, it was kind of like, oh, you kids in your new name. Number one, I'm not a kid. I'm in my at this time, my early midish 20s, and to have like one of the middle-aged elders in our community say that, oh, you kids in your new name. That's not the most validating thing you could say to someone. It's very invalidating. But as time moved on, and I began to do my work was acknowledged by GLAAD. It was acknowledged by different organizations, and that's when they were like, oh, yeah, maybe I was a hole out in the beginning. Like, yeah, you were, and kind of still are, but at the same time, it's kind of like, thank you for pushing me. It's also a big thank you to pushing me into being an activist, because if it wasn't for those experiences, they didn't stop me. It just made me even want to go even harder.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, there's a whole world, there's somewhat parts of the world that want you to shut up, but it's kind of like, no, asexual people, we don't know how to do that. And And yeah, and we're going to continue to, I mean, advocate for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And you talked a little bit about that recognition. It's important from a legislative standpoint too. You might think, oh, a proclamation can be given out for like a graduation to from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts and stuff like that. Like, because if you do look through the website of certain states, I know Wisconsin has a number of different reasons that they give out proclamations. So on that surface level, it might not seem like a big deal.
Yes.
But the reason that to me it is a big deal is exactly what we talked about earlier, the recognition from government officials to say, we see you, we acknowledge you, we validate you, we value you. And, you know, like we said, we've got a president right now who, and vice president, both who will leave the A out of the acronym. And it's hard to see.
It is.
Because I'm used to seeing LGBTQ plus.
Mm-hmm.
The only place that I can remember repeatedly seeing it is on the White House, POTUS, and VP's Twitter pages, where it's LGBTQI plus. I'm very happy that the I is there.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed that the A is not.
That is bizarre. That is bizarre because I don't from my end, I don't really see like a lot of people stop at the I. Like it's normally like when they include the I, they also include A plus.
Yes.
QI plus.
And I mean, I have a theory on that. Obviously, I don't have any connections to the White House, but my theory is they're thinking the A stands for ally.
Yeah, that won't be too far-fetched. Oh.
Because if that were their thinking, I would understand their hesitancy to include it. But the thing is, it doesn't stand for ally. It stands for asexual, agender, aromantic.
Yes.
And to see that left out and to know that they don't fully understand it or recognize whether they're invalidating or it's erasure or it's a mistake that they think that it's ally, that's something that we need to address. And things like Ace Week will help us do that.
Yes, Ace Week, international. We even have International Asexuality Day, which is a thing that it's like that's
6th.
And also the fact that Yasmin was able to be the Grand Marshal of one of the largest, if not the largest, like pride parades in the world, New York, and London. So it's kind of like, if that's not enough visibility for you, it's just like it's like you said, there's something off about the just stopping at I and just plus.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that I think what we're trying to do here with this video is so important. We know we have 2 governors who do recognize the A.
Yeah.
In the 2 of us.
Yes.
We know there's a few others. I'm actually going to share my screen here to show a quick map of the states that have recognized Ace Week in the past. This is from 2023. So the darker purple are the 3 states that recognized it in 2023. That's Pennsylvania, thanks to Marshall, Wisconsin, and also Washington. There is a wonderful group, Seattle Aces Arrows, who have been very good about getting Ace Week recognized in Washington. All of these littler notes underneath 2023 are all the previous years that it had also been recognized. So with Washington, Pennsylvania, and you can possibly see Wisconsin for 2022 there as well. So last year we had 3 states, as well as Kansas City, thanks to our good friends, the Ace couple. And there's a few other states that have in the past. That's what the faded purple is. So we see Michigan, Illinois, Virginia, Colorado, and Oregon. And is that Washington, D.C. there, I think, right?
Yes, the time, yeah, right in that area.
Yep. Also, St. Louis and San Francisco on the city level have in the past.
Like that is
it's the start.
It's interesting that New York,
yes,
New
that's
York,
interesting to me.
The process must be more like grueling. I know California is parsing too, but I think that speaks of the process to get it, probably.
Yes, I know. Before recording, you and I were talking about the process of California, and there needs to be a sponsorship involved in that. We'll get into that in a little bit. But we have a goal that we're setting. We would like to see 10 states this year. I know that seems like a lot, but think of the gravity of 10 states. That's 20% of the nation recognizing Ace Week. With 10 governors recognizing it, 10 states of people recognizing it, I don't see how that A can be left out anymore.
Yeah, it's going to. It's. I can definitely see.
I think some of these states would come back this year if we had people in those states to do it. I think Michigan certainly would. They're one that I would feel very strongly would. They're probably the one that jumps out to me the most likely. Not to put any pressure on anybody watching from Michigan, but it is interesting to look at this map and think we've made some progress, but there's a lot of gray there.
There is.
And I know that there's some governors in there that I wholeheartedly believe just need to be nudged that this exists.
Also, like, I think one of the main concerns here too is that it's an election season, and if you're getting the proclamation mailed, it may take longer because of the mail-in voting.
Yes, that is true. And I think there are some states where I don't want to say it's like a now or never situation, but depending on the political climate, if you do feel like you have a governor who is likely to approve Ace Week this year, but is in an election year, it might be a good idea to get that proclamation this year just to be on the safe side, and then get your state having recognized it at least once, so we can always go, oh yeah, that state has recognized it in the past, even if they have a new governor in the future.
Yes. Like, I think PA, it's the PA. The good thing is about PA now is still stable. I don't see us slipping back to red anytime soon. But the good thing is, as that being an example, we always have a proclamation for PA or the record of one until we're able to do it again when it flips back blue in an event that goes red.
Absolutely. And I feel the same way about Wisconsin. When I did this last year for 2023, we were facing, or 2022, we were facing a election, a governor's election, gubernatorial election. I know it's with a B.
Gubernatorial.
Yes. Thankfully, Tony Evers, my governor, prevailed, and was able to again recognize Ace Week the following year.
Yeah.
So, and we got a couple more years with him yet. So that is something to keep in mind, though, that your state's governor, if it is somebody that aligns with LGBTQ plus rights, and if they aren't, you have to keep that in mind.
And like I used my 2020 experience as an example of when we were in the peak panorama.
Yep.
And also it was also a very contentious election year. I did the first proclamation for the state of PA for Ace Week, and it didn't take long for me to get to the PDF of it. Like I was able to get the file of the proclamation, and I was able to share it to Twitter, and that was fine. But if you're expecting the physical proclamation mailed to your PO box or your house, in any election year or any even local election year, I would expect a minor to major delay.
Yes. In my experience, me personally, I like going to pick it up myself. But that's a drivable experience for me. Yeah. I recognize it won't be for everybody. There is a little something special to that trip for me, but it doesn't have to be that way. It can be mailed to you as well. If that's a trip that you can't make, having it mailed to you is absolutely an option. But I do want to put that out there that is also an option. You can go pick it up yourself from the Capitol. So, and if you want to actually see a video of me doing that last year, that is a pinned TikTok on my channel. So if you go to TikTok, you can see that on my channel there, of my experience walking in. I did a little side panel of me walking into the building itself. Obviously, once I got towards the governor's office, I couldn't record anymore, but just the opening, walking in, and then I read off the proclamation itself after. It's a really neat experience, and it feels like you're a part of something in such a cool way.
Yeah, it's a fun process, and I'm also on the PA Commission of LGBTQ affairs. So so in a way that helped me. I was able to get resources by doing that to get the proclamation. But if you are not part of a committee locally or in a statewide, just look on your governor's office website, and it should lead you to an avenue to how to get a proclamation.
Yes. And we're going to share some of the process with you right now, and some of the guides that have already been provided by Ace Week for you to get this process going for your state. So I'm going to share my screen again for a moment here. And this will be linked in the description. aceweek.org has an excellent article from 2020 explaining that at the time it was 5 different states. As you saw a moment ago, it was more than 5 now. But if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, they tell you what you need. Things like have an in-state address. You can't get a recognition or a proclamation from a state that you're not a citizen of and that you don't have a mailing address in. You do need to know your deadlines. We'll go over that in a moment. And you'll need to write your draft of your proclamation. One thing that you have to get used to is saying the word whereas.
Yes.
I think that's the only place I ever use the word whereas in all 365 days of the year, is the day that I fill out the Ace Week proclamation.
It's almost like making it. If you ever edited like a Wikipedia page, it feels just like you're doing that.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I like that. And then one thing that's really important: proclamations don't renew automatically. You saw all of those faded purple states. Those were not renewed automatically. What Marshall and I have to do, and what you would have to do if you were a part of this, is renew every year and submit every year. So you have to be conscious of that. But I will say, in my experience, Marshall, maybe you'd agree with this. Once you get that first one done, you have everything you need for future years.
Yeah, you like I said, you have like the blueprint of what you need to do. It won't be as difficult. But my other proclamation was different from the new one, but just because my administration has shifted between the first time I got one and now. But yeah, you already have the blueprint, and you won't have to necessarily like start over again.
Right.
Unless there's something that drastically changes, like population, the information, information of your organization, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And I won't say every state does this. I can't verify that. But Wisconsin, when I do submit it, it sends me the entire form back in an email.
Yes.
So I have everything right there, everything that I put. I will say my initial draft that first year, the proclamation itself was reworded quite heavily.
Yes.
But once I had the verbiage that the administration wanted, the following year, there it is. That's what they wanted. I'll just go with that. So that, again, once that first year is approved and taken care of, you have everything you need to do that. So the idea of it not renewing automatically, it's not going to be as much work the next time, though.
No.
So once you get that first one done, it's going to be way easier. Towards the bottom of this page, also on Ace Week, they have a link for help sheets, and this opens an entire Google Drive that they have put together. In the Google Drive is all of these states that you could use as examples and templates. So let's go to Nebraska here. I just saw that one. So you are going to need to edit the date, and keep in mind that it's going to be a different date than what's listed here. It's not going to be September 24th, 2020, because obviously that's a few years old. But here are those whereases that we were talking about. Couple key things to make sure that you change. Make sure that your governor's name is correct and that the dates are correct. You could use this template. I don't know about every state, but I know if you Google search Ace Week Wisconsin, you will actually find the scanned form of the proclamation that's behind me, actually uploaded by my governor's website. So my state website has actually posted the verbiage that they used for it. So if you want to look at Wisconsin's as well, that's another option.
Like I said, it's definitely a process. Like it's not as intimidating as it seems, but it's
right.
In the initial phase of it, it's a little work, but as you go on, as years go on, it's not as difficult.
Right. And if you're not sure about the submission window, because every state is going to be a different submission window. Marshall, what day are you able to submit yours? Do you know?
I actually just got in touch with one of my fellow committee members and to see the dates that we can do. They normally will want you to do like 6 to 8 weeks prior to the date that the event's happening.
Yes.
But I think because it's election season and they know that they may want you to have that proclamation in your hand, they may they might. That's a big might. Might be able to push it back for you or push it head for you, but
Yeah.
just be prepared that they're very by the books, and they may not. They may just say no. Just suspect
Right.
it when we give it out to you. But I could start the process within that 6 to 8 week range, just to be on the safe side. 8 weeks.
And Wisconsin actually has an earlier window than that. We have one of the earliest ones, I think.
Yeah.
Just based on when I was going through and trying to compile a list. Ours is 120 days.
Nice.
So we have a big window up until 45 days, I think.
Yeah.
Before. So mine's already submitted and we're recording this on July 16th. So depending on your state, you might be able to submit it pretty early. But as far as those deadlines that you're going to need to know, this is another resource that I'm going to put in the description of this video that I found. The American Counseling Association, which obviously is not an ACE Week thing.
Yeah.
But they do have their own website with proclamation requests, and every state's where to click to submit. If, for instance, you look at, we talked about California a little while ago. It says 90-day notice, so you have to get it in pretty early for California because, as it says here, there is a pretty lengthy process. It does give the email address of somebody to contact. Granted, that's going to be for this American Counseling Association, so you might not necessarily want to contact that person for this. But I'm sure on the website for California, it will say some people that you can contact. And if not, just contact directly. There's usually a contact us page on these state websites. So you may be able to get someone to help you there too.
Yeah, and also like it's like one of those things where it's like have your stuff mapped out before the date, so you won't scramble like I did in 2020.
Yeah.
Because in 2020 it was very chaotic. It was a election year, and it was just a lot. It was a lot to get done, but it worked out at the end. But if you get delays on your proclamation, just make sure to send an email to the office here and there to make sure that it's sent, or if it's not arrived, they'll probably send you another one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would definitely check this website for a resource because, for example, Montana, it says that the governor of Montana does not issue proclamations. Rather, the office will issue letters of support.
That's
so that is interesting. I think that's the first state I've heard of that.
That it's very. That's kind of like in a way to be neutral, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas proclamations are more blunt in support.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah. You'll notice, like we said, the deadline is listed here. Let's look at Nebraska again, because we looked at it a moment ago. It says 30-day notice. So that's your end date. But with most of these, now I haven't clicked through all of them, but it's probably a safe bet. Now we're on the official governor's website. If you just read through this page where you'd be submitting it anyway, you'll likely find the beginning of that window as well. So I'm scrolling down and I see, oh, here we go. Your request must be submitted at least 30 days in advance of the requested dates. Requests will be accepted no more than 6 months in advance. Nebraska gives you a very large window, actually.
Actually, can you go to Pennsylvania real quick to make sure that if that's the window? I just want to be sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
30-day notice.
30-day notice. Yep. 6
No,
to 8
6
weeks.
to 8 weeks. Yep, I knew it. Yep, 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep. So, yeah, definitely check this website for those direct links. Honestly, you could also probably just Google it.
Yeah,
Just
like
being honest.
like it's gonna be like I said. This could be like the last. Like this might sound. It's not. Again, let's not lose hope. But it sounds grim. But this could be like the last time for some places to be able to do like a proclamation like this. But just remember, it's not a forever thing. Like
Right.
things switch back and forth often.
Yeah. But having a state that's recognized it at least once,
Yes.
have it as part of your state's history.
Yes.
And that can be a very big deal, especially if politics change in the future, but then change back. You already had that precedent.
Yes.
So that's a big deal.
Like let's hope for a more stable future.
Yes. You might come across some verbiage in the forms. Now, every state's going to be different about what it's asking, but it might ask, for example, Wisconsin asks for organizations to reference. And I have the exact verbiage that the Wisconsin form asks. It says, is this request affiliated with an organization? In that case, I've always just answered, this request is affiliated with Ace Week. And then one last thing that we ask you to do, that Ace Week asks you to do as well, just to help keep things organized. Once you have it ready, before you submit to your state, email hello@aceweek.org to let them know that you're going to be doing it. They want to make sure that multiple proclamations don't go out to the same state. So if 3 people from Michigan all do it and no one's communicating with each other, we might have a little bit of a mess. And I mean, I would hope that wouldn't deter a governor from signing it, but it may slow down the process or cause confusion. So we don't want that.
Like it'll cause especially if you do it in the same organization. Let's just say if you're affiliated with a different organization, maybe you can get away with it. But if it's the same, coming from the same thing, it may cause a lot of disruption.
Yes. As we mentioned, our goal is to see 10 states join in this year, counting our 2 that we're hoping. I mean, again, not a guarantee, but we're hoping based on past precedents that ours will also be approved. But if we could get 10 states this year, that would be incredible.
Like I think it's interesting because New York, I think asexual people are a protected class, and
yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's very. Not saying it has anything to do with the proclamation process, but it's kind of like odd that we don't have one there.
Yeah, and I wonder if part of that is, I don't know about you, but I was self-taught pretty much on this process. That's part of why we wanted to do this video, is to help people. So again, maybe this helps people with knowing what to do and how to get this approved and submitted in the right places and fill out the right information. But it's a start, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, like I said, it's an exciting process. Like you have fun with it. It's nothing to be. It's not schoolwork. I'll say that.
No. Take it from me. If you follow my stuff, I'm a teacher. This is not schoolwork. This isn't homework. Wow. This is fun to fill out, and it's something that I've felt very fortunate to have played any role in.
Yes, but we're part of asexual history.
Yes, I like that. Ooh. But we do recognize that not every state is going to be ACE friendly in this process. We recognize that not every governor is going to have a good track record when it comes to LGBTQIA plus rights.
Yeah.
And so if you are in a state where it seems unlikely, I mean, you can still do the process and give it a shot. You never know. But we do want to provide you with some actionable things that you can do if that is the case. The first one that we would recommend, if you are able to do so, if you're of age, vote.
Yes.
Vote those politicians that are against LGBTQ plus rights, those standing in the way of queer rights, out of office, and vote for politicians who are in more favor of your best interests and keep your best interests in their heart and mind.
Yes. Like it's like one of those things where you like it's if you are not, let's just say the people who are not participating in like the general elections, I highly recommend you focus on your focus on your governor, your county, your city, your township, etc., because those are your last lines of defense against a, let's just say, a possible issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And since you mentioned your cities, your towns, your counties, also keep in mind that just because you might have a governor that doesn't support Ace Week or highly unlikely to, doesn't mean that your mayor be opposed to it. If you are in a state that more aligns against queer rights, but maybe you live near or in a large city that does align with queer rights, like we saw San Francisco, St. Louis, Kansas City, they're on that list.
Yes.
You've done it.
Like if you're in Ohio, if you live near Columbus, Cleveland, or Cincinnati, Toledo, Youngstown, those are viable places to get acclamations. Particularly Cleveland and Cincinnati. Well, Columbus does have a growing LGBTQI plus community, but it leans more iffy on swing than a city like Cleveland. So just using Ohio as an example.
Yeah. Yep. Another thing you could do is contact your representatives who do align with your core values and beliefs and ask them to stand with the asexual community for Ace Week and for recognition in any way that we can be on the radar and get that recognition. Even if it is merely, say, your state congressperson sends out a tweet, "Happy Ace Week."
Yes,
that's a big step.
It is. Like it's like one of those things where, if someone, like if a public figure in your community or politician in your community acknowledges it, it does boost awareness of our community, and that helps out a lot.
Yeah. Our third suggestion: join or support your local LGBTQIA plus organizations to help with the grassroots local level of spreading awareness of asexuality.
Yeah, especially not just outside of, not just inside of Pride, but 365 days of the year. If you have a group that you can find on an online site like Facebook, a safe group, definitely connect with them. They could lead many ways to resources that you need to become an activist or advocate in the community.
Absolutely. Another thing you could do: contact your local news.
Yes.
Whether it's a television station, radio, write your newspaper, inform them of Ace Week, and them getting the word out also puts pressure on local government.
Yeah, and also if your newspaper leans away from LGBTQI plus topics, find a independent newspaper that tends to lean more in our favor, and they'll be able to help you get the traffic out there.
Absolutely. You can also engage with social media, talking about ACE Week and participating in the online events that are happening during ACE Week. That increases visibility, both locally and globally.
Yeah, especially participate if any in any events like on International Asexuality Day. There may be a panel that you may want to hop on. If you're invited to one, I recommend you do so, and you can listen to a lot of great activists, advocates, and also a lot of grand stories.
Absolutely. You can encourage the creation of and support of safe spaces within the community where ACE folks can meet, share experiences, support each other, help build those safe spaces, both online and in person.
Yep, and also be sure to have cake on any important day, any important ACE holiday. Like it's very important to. It's a great way to bond. It's a great way to have people learn about asexuality and history behind it, and also make sure to follow any LGBTQI plus organizations that are also inclusive of asexual content.
Absolutely. And our last tip is, if you are in a situation where it's safe to do this and you're comfortable doing this, advocating for yourself in your personal life can help raise awareness. Share your experiences with the people that you care about, with the people that you trust. And doing so may lead to them supporting you in your own life and in your asexual journey. It might help you grow in your relationship with them, but also in your relationship with yourself. It may persuade them to join you in advocating for the asexual community. And it may help you feel more accepted and grow closer to the people that you love.
Also in the process of being activists in the community, make sure that you know your nearest resource center in the community. So just in case if things become unstable at home, you have resources so to get you on your own on 2 feet.
Yes, and remember, everybody's journey is unique. No two people's journeys are going to look the same. We all have our own situations, and we have to do what's best for us and what's safe for us.
Yes.
If it's not a safe situation for you, your presence mentally, we feel it. Yes. We know you're there. We believe in you, and we love you.
Yes, and we will fight for you.
Yes. I think that about wraps it up, Marshall.
That was good. That was good.
I'm really looking forward to seeing all of these proclamations come in. I would love to see a very purple United States this year.
Yeah, same. Like, and also lots of cake.
Yes.
And garlic bread, that's your preference.
Yes. I say we turn the US purple in October and then blue in November.
Yes. Please blue. Like it's been a very interesting week.
Yeah, it has. Thank you so much, Marshall. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. And don't forget to follow Marshall's information. It's all going to be in the description of this video. And don't forget to like this video, share it with others, spread the word on how to get these proclamations going. And if you are so inclined to do whatever you can to advocate and spread awareness too, we really appreciate everything that this community does.
Yes. Good luck to everyone that is getting the process started.
Yes. Best of luck to you. We look forward to seeing it. Don't forget to subscribe for more Arrow and Ace content. And I hope you all Have a wonderful, wonderful ACE week this year.
Happy ACE week in the future.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.